Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. It's another paid request, this time for Gia. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting reviews, topics, re-reviews, reactions, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for another versus topic. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade versus Dial of Destiny, Dial of Dialysis, Dial 1-800. I don't give a fuck about that movie. It's not so much, well, obviously the answer is yes, Indiana Jones' Last Crusade is much better than Dial of Destiny. But I don't think that's what Gia's asking for. He's asking, what makes Last Crusade good while Dial of Destiny bad as an Indiana Jones film? They both have the same characters. What makes one work and one doesn't? Number one, better directors. Steven Spielberg is a better director than James Mangold, especially in this field. James Mangold works well for a film like Copland, not so much for this type of movie. Steven Spielberg, this type of movie is his bread and butter. That's why he has a pretty good track record. So that's number one. Number two, lack of CGI. Even Harrison Ford's character himself is CGI with the de-aging and dialysis. Last Crusade looks better, looks more fitting, looks less... It's weird how a film from 1989 can look better and less dated than a film in 2023. But that's the case. You see it's Harrison Ford, you see it's Indiana Jones really on the side of that tank while being dragged through rocks, or them on top of the tank fighting while he's trying to save his dad. You see it's all this stuff happening to the characters, them on a boat, all done practical, for real, in camera. And Spielberg knew how to use the scope, the camera, the wide shots, and the best technical expertise he had at that time, so to showcase these effects as well as they could, and more importantly, these stunts and stunt sequences and action sequences as well as they could. And while yes, you do have the effect of the plane crashing through and then going right beside Indy and his dad and going forward, there's some opticalness in that shot, but very few and far in between. And you have Harrison Ford in his prime. He's energetic, he's in it to win it, as they say. He is full of vigor and energy. This is what people want to see with Indiana Jones. Him in another adventure. At this point, they did the last adventure, where you have the great ending, where they go off into the sunset. I like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but the ending of Last Crusade is really nice. Him reunited with his dad. You have Marcus and Sala. Marcus Sala from the first movie. I mean, hell, if you someone got Marion in there, Karen Allen, it would be to be the perfect ending of the trilogy. Instead, you get Indiana Jones getting punched in the face saying, "You dumb fuck, you don't need to be here. You go back with me." And then shoehorn in Karen Allen, because that wasn't the ending they had at first. And you could tell it was the last shot, a last reshoot of it. And which would you rather see? A sad shit of an Indiana Jones, where you have a character talking about how she's so much better than him, how you're so old, how you're so broken down, how you're an old piece of shit, how blah 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 blah. I don't take advice from an aging grave robber. Like, you would know anything about family. You're divorced, you're this and that. Why would you put a character that just, for 2.5 hours, puts down Indiana Jones, your title, your character that people are seeing the film for? Why do filmmakers... That's an insult to call them filmmakers nowadays. Why do these people today think that's a good thing for an audience to witness? Last Crusade has an interesting MacGuffin with the Holy Grail. Seems like one of the most obvious things out there. Be one of the big important finds would be the Holy Grail. John Williams' music. I don't remember the music he did for Dial of Destiny. But Last Crusade, I do remember how in each of the first three Indiana Jones he had the great theme, but then he did his own original stuff in Temple of Doom. And then Last Crusade. Do any of you remember anything from Dial of Destiny? No. Maybe John Williams is like, I got nothing for you, man. Just play some music. Because even if people like the film, I've never heard anyone talk about the fucking music of the film, which is pretty sad. Now, to be fair, you could put that criticism the Kingdom of Crystal Skull, as much as I like the film. To be fair, you could put that on that. At least compared to the first three movies. But you look at the way it begins. Funny enough, both with a train. One's more interesting in terms of story point to see the younger days of Indiana Jones as a kid, played by River Phoenix. In the new one, it was a lot of CGI, and it looked ugly. Both when they're on the train and the big massive CGI background, being in the truck, going through the CGI action sequences to get to the train. Harrison Ford and the de-aging stuff just looked off. It looked weird. Maybe if it's standing still, it looks okay, but a lot of other times it just looks off. Just looks off. And then also you don't have the hindrance of having an 80-year-old voice of Harrison Ford coming out of this supposedly 30, 40-year-old Indiana Jones. I mean, it's supposed to be 30... I don't know how old Indiana Jones is supposed to be, 30, 40, but you have this 80-year-old voice coming out. That's a big detriment. That's a big distraction. Huge distraction. You don't have any of that distraction at the beginning of Last Crusade. Oh, it's Indy as a kid. It's River Phoenix. Go on this adventure on this train. Oh, he's using the whip. There's a scar. He gets the hat. And maybe the villains in Last Crusade are not up to Belloc or the cult in the first two movies. But you also don't have the villain get hit by a fucking sign off a train speeding how many miles per hour and then come back later and doesn't even have a mark on his face. Like what happened to Mads Mikkelsen in Dial of Destiny. He's on a speeding train, wonk right to the face, and he's perfectly fucking fine. He's perfectly fucking fine, but you don't have that shit. You know what you do have? The bad guy melting and turning to skeleton. He chose poorly. People to this day still use that. He chose poorly. You chose wisely. You don't have any of that shit in this movie that people don't remember. At least on a good matter. And Harrison Ford, he's in his prime. He's not tired. He's not looking senile. He's not, not feeling sorry for this guy for the entire film. Oh, poor guy. He's trying to do this and he's trying to move. And I like Harrison Ford. I love Harrison Ford. The Fugitive regarding Henry. I liked him in Blade Runner 2049. I think he was better used in that. Much better used. In a much better movie. But it's a guy that, okay, it's about age. About age, what? That when you're an old sack of shit, that people can make fun of you and talk shit to you and talk down for you for 2.5 hours? And your original ending, you pretty much said, you know what, I got nothing, I give up, I'm gonna be here. Can you imagine if they went with that ending? I mean, how even more worse it would be. So, and in the action sequences, there's more life to it. There's no more meat to the matter. It's all done for real, practical. And really enough, Last Crusade felt bigger. Like the whole sequence where they're in the middle of Nazi Germany and they have to go undercover and there's massive Nazis and there's Hitler and he takes the book and you think, oh shit, but then he signed the autograph and walks away. That felt like there was more. I mean, because it was all extras that had to be on set. You had to get them all there with that big production. And that felt like a bigger movie compared to the new one. And also the ending. Going back through time. They just shot down. Indiana Jones is a damsel in distress. Did you want to see his last adventure be him being a damsel in distress for the third act of the film, tied up in a plane, so that the annoying, irritating goddaughter, who is one of the biggest detriments to the film because she was not a likable character, one of the first things she does is lock Indy in the library, and he could get fucking killed, and she doesn't care, so she sees that there's villains there, ready to kill, so she locks Indiana Jones in this cage, this door that looks like a cage. So, hey, you get out of it. Yeah, this 80-year-old guy, you just sent him to his death. And we're supposed to care about this goddaughter character. You don't have characters like that in Last Crusade. You know what you do have? Sean Connery as the dad, which is a great welcome addition. Where, yeah, they would have little arguments, but you still felt that he loved, respected Indy, but when he thinks Indy's dead, he said, you know what, I wish I could have told him, I wish I could have said this and that. And there's an actual character development. Whether it be a father that didn't pay enough attention to his son, but then when he thinks his son died, but then sees Indy alive and he hugs him, I thought I lost you, boy. And then at the end, where Indy's still grasping for the Grail, and lo and behold, his dad calls him Indiana. The thing he wanted to call him the whole time, he finally respects him, says, Indiana, let it go. Realizing what's more important is his family and his dad, not the Grail. And also the ending. It's him going to do this event to save his dad. How much of a hero is that? To go through these traps, to go through these ordeals, to save his dad. Much more of a worthwhile adventure for Indy to go on than to be held hostage with a bleeding wound while his annoying piss hand of a goddaughter who treated him like shit for over 2.5 hours then all of a sudden likes him for whatever reason. Or all the sidekicks. We have Sala and Marcus, who are likable, or we have Short Round 2.0, who's an annoying little twerp, or a know-it-all annoyance like Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character, or Antonio Banderas, who's in there long enough to die. It's sad that Puss in Boots 2: The Last Wish was a more better usage of Antonio Banderas than an Indiana Jones film. So, Last Crusade's reliance on practical stunt work and effects, while Dial of Dialysis overuse. People thought Team Crystal Skull had too much CGI. This is at least 4 times more. I just picked that number out of the blue. It was a lot more. Dude, even Indiana Jones himself was CGI. At times. More interesting MacGuffin with the Holy Grail, just more interesting than the Dial. the villains I would still take in Last Crusade over what the fucking Dial of Dialysis. Harrison Ford, vigor, energy, much more satisfying ending. Again, much more worthwhile indie for the audiences to enjoy. Much more of a hero's journey. Much more development on the characters. You see the development of Sean Connery, where his growing respect. He had respect, but even more respect and love for his son. And Sean Connery was a lovable sidekick. Junior should have sent it to the Marx Brothers. I told you, don't call me Junior. What'd you do? Do you see what you did? That's much more genuine humor, fun, easier to have a smile on your face. What do you have with that in Dial? For people who truly love the film, what do you have with that in Dial of Destiny? I'm sincerely curious. What about Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character and her banter with Indiana Jones? What about it brings you any amount of joy, entertainment, humor? What? It brings you anger, confusion, headache-inducing, cringe, annoyance of having a know-it-all pissant thinking I'm so much better, smarter, and stronger than Indiana Jones in his own movie. And I'm going to save him at the end. And then this is going to be the person behind the new Tomb Raider? Lara Croft? Phoebe Waller-Bridge? Sorry. And then, on top of that, again, more unique, better John Williams score in Last Crusade. Much more satisfying beginning, much more satisfying ending. All the stuff I mentioned before. They don't make movies like they used to. Which is crazy with all the nostalgia wanking that they do, but they don't realize what made... You can feel all the nostalgia you want, you don't realize what made those films work. And that is one of the main issues of Hollywood today. With that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.